Welcome back to another episode, and I'm singing because it's my birthday today. That's right, it is my birthday today. 43 years old today, October 29th, 1980. The star was born, and his name was Matthew. Well, anyway, it really is my birthday today. Cloudy day though. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. So I'm excited about what we're doing the vlog on today, but I'm not super excited about the fact that it's kind of cloudy on my birthday. I'm not too happy about that, but I guess some birthdays you got to spend in the rain. It might not rain, but it's cloudy. I needed some coffee, so I stopped at Starbucks on the way here because there's no CC's or PJ's up here that I know of. I think there actually is one, but it's way out of the way. And I tried this new thing today. I don't know what I was thinking. It's like this caramel apple oat milk macchiato, which is very far left field from anything I ever get coffee wise. I usually stick to the basics. Cafe au lait, 3 sugars. Keep it simple. Coffee milk and sugar, cream and sugar. And I took one sip of this thing and it's very appley, and it's something that I would never drink. And I'm not hating on it, but it's not my thing. So the day's not starting out all that great coffee wise, but everything else wise, and the weather wise, of course. But we're here to see the most magnificent place ever in the world, and it's called the Louisiana Hayride, or more commonly known as the Municipal Auditorium here in Shreveport. But anybody who's anybody in country music back in the 40s, 50s, all that stuff, either played here, got their start here, got more famous here, etc., etc. It happened here. And it's a very important place in country music, radio, in music, not just radio. And I'll tell you all about it. So without further ado, we're going to make this day go a little bit smoother from this point out. Still got to go find a better coffee somewhere. Might have to go back to Starbucks and get something better. But I'm not going to let that faze me. I'm 43 years old today. Actually, not till 5:06 p.m. because that's when a star was born exactly. But it's still my birthday. October 29th, 2023. Yours truly, 43 years old. Don't feel like it, don't look like it, don't act like it for sure. And all that. So I hope you enjoyed this one. This is a pretty cool one. There's a lot of bums around here. I'm not judging by any means, but it could be fun. And I'll turn the camera around and we'll get started. I love you all. Let's jump right in. Elvis Presley Avenue. And there it is on the right, behind all these trees. And before I complain about it more, it's not that bad, but it's just not my thing really. Like, what am I thinking? I'll just stick to the basics, Matt. Stick to the basics. But the more sips I take of it, it's not too bad. I was planning on getting a hot coffee, ended up getting a cold coffee because I didn't order it. I didn't specify. I'm not used to ordering these things. It's really appley and cinnamony, like very fall autumny. Like you're almost like you're drinking a candle, but not like in a bad way. If you ever drank a candle before, you know what I'm talking about. But it's not that bad. I can't complain too much, but it's like I gotta remind myself sometimes, like just living on the edge sometimes. Just I don't know. What do you guys get at these places? What's good? What do you get at Starbucks and all the other fancy places? Coffee places. The more sips I take of it, it's not that bad. It still tastes like a candle. It tastes like a Christmas candle. I don't know. Let's go ahead and get out of the car all the way. I'm halfway out of the car right now. And here it is, folks. Shreveport Municipal Auditorium, better known as the home of the Louisiana Hayride. Now, Louisiana Hayride was a radio and later television country music show broadcast from here. Like I said, it's in Shreveport, Louisiana here. And during its heyday from about 1948 to 1960, helped to launch the careers of some of the greatest names in American country and Western music in this building. Hank Williams Jr. said himself that if the Grand Ole Opry was a promised land for up-and-coming country music stars, the people who wanted to be somebody in country music, then Louisiana Hayride was Heaven's Gate. Hank Williams Jr. said that himself. And he would know because his daddy, Mr. Hank Williams Sr. himself, played here. I'm such in awe when I'm at this place. I've been here before about 7 years ago. I'm driving through from Dallas down to Lafayette where I live, and it's crazy to think what has gone on here. Like not just the people who played here, but just if these walls could talk, you know. Like sitting in the audience and experiencing that. Like thinking of the music being played here. These famous artists, these famous musicians that came through here and made a name for themselves here. But on a side note, talking about the building itself, it's beautiful. It says up there, I don't know if you can read it or not, it says dedicated to those who served in the World War. Now when this was built, I think there might have only been one World War as of that time. In fact, I know that for sure. So the World War at the time was just World War I. That's pretty interesting, huh? There's beautiful accents on the building, though. I guess I can make this vlog equally not only about the music here and all that, but also just the building itself. It says the work of rights. I don't know what that else. The work of righteousness shall be peace. Can you see that right there? I was like, what? Faustness or eosness is righteousness. The work of righteousness shall be peace. Isaiah 37:17. Looking right here. Right there, 1929 Municipal Auditorium. Municipal Memorial Auditorium. I guess that's the official name of it. Let's go look at this side and see some statues of one or two guys that you might be familiar with. Aha! Any of you guys recognize this guy? That's right, it's Mr. Elvis Aaron Presley. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you've never heard of this young man before, but one day you'll be able to tell your children and grandchildren that you heard musical history made tonight. With these prophetic words, Elvis Presley was introduced to the country from the stage of the Municipal Auditorium on the Louisiana Hayride radio program in October of 1954. What? So 69 years ago this month. From a working class background, Elvis would rise to become the king of pop culture and an ambassador of a new age, and arguably the most beloved artist of the 20th century. Dedicated October 16th, 2004. So on the 50th anniversary. There's some kind of a stencil of a photograph of women going crazy when they heard or watched him play here. I think it was October, if I remember correctly, it was like October 24th or 5th of 54. If I remember correctly. Arguably the most famous man to ever come through through this building. And if you count Johnny Cash and Hank Williams, you know, Elvis was influenced by Hank Williams. Loved Hank Williams. Check out these microphone metal cutouts here. It's a beautiful area too. I mean, it's an old area of town. Beautiful cemetery across the street there. But there's the other side of the building here. Just a magnificent place. And I'm so glad that they are keeping up with it. We'll glance around. I'll talk about it as I show you the building, because I don't want to ignore the building and its structure and all that. It's just too pretty not to. There's some Masonic stuff right there. Laid by the Grand Lodge of Louisiana. FNAM. I guess that's the actual lodge or something like that. I don't know. Look at this, man. It's one of the entrances one of the doors. Man, just think. If these walls could talk, man. Just think of people who walk right where we're walking. And there's a road right here on the side. It could have been a bus or a car carrying Elvis Presley and, you know, Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash. They could have drove right here and parked and got out and unloaded their guitars and equipment and went through one of these doors. Most likely it was in the back. But still, man, you never know. Inside this building, inside these walls, Elvis Presley basically got his start. He was made famous and he jumped on the stage. The first song he ever sang here was "That's All Right, Mama." And the rest, they say, is history. And boy, was it. Hank Williams Sr. Hank Williams played here. Early days. And influenced a generation. Hank Williams changed country music. Changed it. Hank Williams brought in a new fan base into country music, or, you know, people who didn't even listen to country music. Like, he influenced that. Like, he brought in a whole new crowd of people, fan base of people who didn't even usually listen to that type of music. That's how good he was. And of course, Elvis kind of did the same thing when he kind of hybrided over or transitioned over from the country. And he always he continued to sing that through the years, but, you know, kind of went in from the country and western and brought it into rock and roll. Now here's the meat and potatoes back here. This is the back here, where most definitely all these bands and historic, super famous artists and singers and bands, Elvis and those guys unloaded and parked their vans and tour buses, which most of them probably didn't have tour buses back then, but vans and vehicles and all that, and unloaded and hung out between sets, between songs, smoked cigarettes and talked about what things were like in the 50s, not knowing how famous they were going to be right here. You could almost picture it, their ghosts just hanging out here, just talking. You can picture Elvis Presley just hanging out here back, talking to Johnny Cash or June Carter or Billy, what's his name? Johnny Horton, Carl Perkins, all those guys just hanging out here, arriving, unloading equipment, and going on the stage to go play their songs and play their music. All back here. And you know this gate's probably original too. Open this gate and come on, Elvis. Come on, Johnny Cash. Come on in. Unload your stuff back here and get ready. You're on in an hour. And they all played here. All the greats. Wow. It's crazy to think about. It's so quiet now. You hear the wind slightly blowing. You hear some birds chirping. But 60, 70 years ago, it would have been jumping. You hear screams of girls going crazy over Elvis Presley playing in here as a young 19-year-old, 19, 20, 21-year-old. Elvis played here 40 times. He played on the Hayride 40 times. And a week or two before, he played his first Hayride show here in '54. Just a week or two before that, he was told, after the last performance before that he should go back to driving a truck. Just give it up and go back to driving a truck. Just imagine if he did. There's another entrance there. Let's go look at that other statue. But yeah, so Elvis played here 40 times, built his fan base here. He was discovered here. This is the place where, like, this is like a ramp that goes down here. It could have easily been another entrance where they backed up a car or a van or something and unloaded equipment through that door. Right there. Just think. If you can really picture it, picture a scene like that, like right here where I'm standing. They could have just walked right here, parked right there on the street and walked on over. Man, it's nuts. I love that kind of stuff. If you really put yourself in there, in that scene, and imagine it. All the fans lined up out here and in the front, waiting, anticipating, and begging to get in to see the Hayride. I think of all those people who, back at that time, weren't even legends yet. They weren't who they are now to us. They were brand new and getting their start and all that stuff. You know? Sorry guys, I had to switch over to my phone because my camera battery ran out. Should have known better. I hadn't charged it in about a week. So anyway, this statue here is right next to Elvis Presley, of course, and for good reason, is Mr. James Burton, also known as Play It James. Now, guitar lovers worldwide know the name of James Burton. Burton's distinctive style has rightfully earned the Shreveport native a place in music history and endeared him to countless musicians. His service for studio recording and live performances has been sought by some of the world's top entertainers, including Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, Ricky Nelson, John Denver, Roy Orbison, Ray Charles, Jerry Lee Lewis, Merle Haggard, and many others. Here he proudly stands in front of the Municipal Auditorium where it all began for him at the age of 14, dang, 14, and at Elvis's side. Exactly where he stood for untold performances. A legend in his own right, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, James Burton is a man whose talent has given fans around the world around the world, the opportunity to experience a music connection that comes straight from his heart to theirs through the magic of 6 guitar strings. And we're going to go over there too and give you guys a hint, but that building right across the street there, he bought that. James Burton bought that and he used it as a recording studio for years. Like I said, he's a Shreveport native, so Elvis and basically his right-hand man, James Burton, played James. What an awesome experience. Man, I've said it a bunch of times already, but if these walls could talk, if these walls could show you just what it looked like, what it felt like, people storming the front doors to see some of these people play. And like I said, even Jimi Hendrix played here. Jimi Hendrix was in this building playing, most likely for Wilson Pickett at the time. He played for Wilson Pickett before he took off on his own on his solo stuff. Because the Jimi Hendrix experience, that was, quite a bit, I'd say a good bit of time after he played for Wilson Pickett. All right, guys, so walking back towards the auditorium, I stopped by my truck to drop my camera off since I foolishly didn't charge it enough, but luckily I still have the phone as a backup. And also, I'm still sipping on my Apple Crisp oat milk macchiato that I'm experimenting with and broadening my horizons with, or whatever you call it. Anyway, so a little bit of history about how this started here. W.K. Henderson started a radio show back in 1925 in this area in Shreveport here, and that radio station reached most of East Texas, Arkansas, the southwest corner of Arkansas, and of course the northwest Louisiana area, and it was such a big hit. And one thing that Mr. Henderson understood was that people liked the type of music that they understood, and so he expanded on that, and he created a radio station that was very prevalent. It was doing very well, and it played all the good stuff, all the country music that people loved, and country western mostly at that time, in the 20s, of course. And he had a Saturday morning country music or your music station show, basically, that everybody loved so much, and it was such a hit that people loved the morning music, the morning show so much that he created a Saturday night show, which he called aptly the Louisiana Hayride. And that's where it all started, back in the 20s. It all started here. Now, this building was built as a typical, like any city would have, like a municipal auditorium. It was built in honor of the veterans from the First World War, which is what we saw in the opening scene when I started, when we first walked up to it, and the Louisiana Hayride just took off here. It adopted this building, or I should say this building adopted the Hayride, and took off. But W.K. Horton's radio station, going back, is KWKH, and that was the radio show back in those days that he started, and he just saw something that was doing well, that people liked, and he expanded on that. He grew from there and made the evening show, I guess you could call it, which was a Hayride, and the rest is history. Like I said before, we're kind of walking towards the back here. It's actually, this side of the building is much different than the other. The look is the same overall, but unfortunately, it's this area has a lot to be desired these days. But at least the building itself is being taken care of and respected for the most part. There's a couple homeless people that are sleeping like over there in the doorway, but if that's the worst of it, then I guess that's all we can ask for. It is estimated, actually, I was reading some statistics, it's estimated that most of the audience members and all of the Louisiana Hayride shows here at the auditorium, most of the audience members are estimated to be not from Shreveport, which tells you how famous it was and how big of a deal it was, as people from everywhere came to see these shows, especially as people like Elvis and Johnny Cash and of course Hank Williams were playing, Jerry Lee Lewis, of course, all those guys, as they were building a name for themselves and getting more famous, they were drawing more and more of a crowd from around not just the area but around the country. Now, of course, this building here is not part of the Hayride, but this is just a very beautiful old structure that I don't know much about, but look how nice it is. It's across the street. Yeah, cool. Here's another view of the back of the building of the Hayride. It's a majestic place, man. Again, we're back at the loading dock in the back. Just imagine these guys going up those stairs backstage, getting ready to perform. Imagine how nervous Elvis Presley was in this building on his very first performance here. And if you want to, if it's your thing, you can go check out the 2022 Elvis movie. And the opening scene of that is pretty much all taking place here at the Louisiana Hayride at this building. It's crazy to think about. And it wasn't just music, it was also like comedy. It was skits, things like that were held here. The more popular it got, the broader, there's more of a broad type of entertainment that was here. Johnny Fair was a company that made syrup locally here. And just kind of give you the idea of how these musicians were so drawn and built such a relationship with this building and the city itself. Hank Williams was the spokesperson for it for a while, for the Johnny Fair syrup that was made here. It was a locally made syrup here in the Shreveport area. So right across the street here from the auditorium, as I showed you earlier, Jim Burton, whose statue I showed you a while ago, he bought this building and used it as a recording studio for years, right next to this beautiful, pretty little church right there. But it's called the James Burton Country Blues Gospel Jazz Foundation, Rock and Roll. James Burton Foundation. James Burton Foundation, country blues, gospel jazz. To read it the correct way. But, of course, it's all locked up and closed up. But I think, if I remember correctly, it closed down about, it was used for a studio for years and years. I think through the 90s and maybe the 2000s. I didn't do much research on this because I was more focusing on the auditorium, but I did out. And he recorded here, and many famous musicians have recorded in this building. For the most part, a very unassuming building. This metal guitar here inside the door. You can see that frosted glass image there of the musicians, kind of vague, and it's kind of a glare there, but I don't think you can see inside. That famous Boulevard of Broken Dreams poster right there. Sorry, I'm trying to get you guys an image here. That's cool. Big music symbol here, and a big reflection of me that I'm not trying to impose into the picture. If I don't fall off the steps here, I can zoom in again on the window. Like a waiting area, lobby area maybe. Let's see. Trying to get an angle for you that's not obstructed. I can get as a desk and a computer there. That old carpet. Looks like some old 80s, early 90s carpet, 70s carpet. I'm sure it's not that old, but could be though. That old rug right there, the entrance doormat. It's a B, Mr. Burton. That's cool. Kind of see in there a little bit. Not much to see overall. I'm kind of looking with my own eyes. It's more just like a desk in there. Might have been like a lobby or waiting area. But yeah, so Mr. Burton bought and established this place as a recording studio for years and years. Fitting that he built or bought it right across the street from the auditorium where he got his start. Right across the street. Just think, every day he walked out of his recording studio, he gets to look at the place that started it all for him, and so many others. Like, what a historic, like, just what a mecca. Like I said, the Hayride never boasted itself as a stepping stone to the Grand Ole Opry. It just wasn't. It was such its own thing and such a big hit. I mean, everybody came to see everybody. Everybody wanted to play here. Everybody wanted to perform here. But it still was a step to get to Nashville. It was a play. You play here and you get big like Elvis, and you make it to Nashville, which is a thing to do back then. If you made it, you go to Nashville. It's a cool little unassuming building. Man, so much history, so much history. Whew. Man, it's getting a little warm outside. Sun's coming out though, that's good. It's not gonna be a gloomy, depressing day all day for my birthday. Gotta be grateful for that, right? Man, being here is so amazing. I hope you guys got just as much out of it as I did. I promise that as soon as we can get another visit here to see the inside, I will show it to you. It'll just be a part 2. But even though the history of it and talking about it and seeing the outside of it and the doors and windows and the structure and all that stuff, I hope you guys got at least a good feel of it and got something out of it. And I could have gone on for a long time with this one, but it would have been too documentary-ish. I didn't want that. I like more of the experience of just hanging out and walking around and experiencing it together, like I always do. So with that, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I post more like this. Leave any comments if you've seen any of these artists in concert, whether if you're old enough to have seen them here at the Municipal Auditorium, that would have been amazing, or seen them anywhere else. And yeah, you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I still got a long 4-hour drive back home, although it's a nice, easy, open drive, so I'm looking forward to it. And love you all. Stay tuned. Stay cool. Stay cool. Stay tuned. Huh. Which one of those do you like better? Stay cool, stay tuned, or stay tuned, stay cool? Majority wins. Whatever you vote, that's what I'm going to go with. They both sound good. Huh. Just thought of that. Anyway. See you on the next one. And until then, goodbye.